Yashodanandana Raja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Raja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihare. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihare. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihare. Jai Vishnupada Paramasubhajikacharya Stottar Satis Divine Grace Abhaya Charanaaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Vishnupada Paramasubhajikacharya Stottar Satis Divine Grace Shri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki. All glories to assembled devotees Hare Krishna. All glories to assembled devotees Hare Krishna. All glories, all glories, all glories, Shri Guru and Shri Guru Prabhupada Ki. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Ajnanatamирандस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरोन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः. श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयतपदकमलं श्रीगुरोन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं सग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितं च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधा कान्त नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचना गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिय पंचाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसदी गौर भक्तवृंद. हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरोन्नतारणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्येश्वरम्. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 12, text number 8. First of all, I neither have any qualification nor do I have any realization, but whatever I have heard in the past, I'll just try to repeat, trying to be a humble servant. So I need the blessings of Ramandra Prabhu and all the Prabhupada disciples. Nobody's here right now. There is no book. It's okay. Savairuroda Devanam Purvajo Bhagavan Bhavaha Namani Kurmedata Sthanani Cha Jagadguru Savairuroda Devanam Purvajo Bhagavan Bhava Namani Kurmedata स्थानानि च जगद्गुरो Saha, he, why, certainly, Ruroda, cried loudly, Devanam Purvajaha, Devanam Purvajaha, the eldest of all demigods, Bhagavan, the most powerful, Bhavaha, Lord Shiva, Namani, different names, Kuru, designate, me, my, Dataha, O destiny maker, Sthanani, places, Cha, also, Jagadguru, O teacher of the universe. Translation: after his birth, he began to cry, O destiny maker, teacher of the universe, kindly designate my name and place. There is no purport, so we'll go to the next verse translation. The all powerful Brahma, who was born from the lotus flower, pacified the boy with gentle words, accepting his request, and said, do not cry. I shall certainly do as you desire. The next verse. Thereafter Rama said, O chief of the demigods, you shall be called by name Rudra by all people because you have so anxiously cried. The next verse. Let us purport. My dear boy, I have already selected the following places for your residence: the heart, the senses, the air of life, the sky, the air, the fire, the water, the earth, the sun, the moon, and austerity. The creation of Rudra from between the eyebrows of Brahma as the result of his anger, generated from the mode of passion, partly touched by ignorance, is very significant. In Bhagavad Gita 3.37, the principle of Rudra is described. Krodha, anger, is the product of kama, lust, which is the result of the mode of passion. When the lust and hankering are unsatisfied, the element of krodha appears, which is the formidable enemy of the conditioned soul. This most sinful and inimical passion is represented as ahankara, or the false egocentric attitude of thinking oneself to be all in all. Such an such an such an egocentric attitude on the part of the conditioned soul who is completely under the control of metal nature is described in Bhagavad Gita as foolish. The egocentric attitude is the manifestation of the Rudra principle in the heart, wherein Krodha, anger is generated. This anger develops in the heart and is further manifested through various senses like eyes, hands, and legs. When a man is angry, he expresses such anger with red hot eyes and sometimes makes a display of clenching his fists or kicking his legs. This exhibition of the Rudra principle is the proof of Rudra's presence in such places. When a man is angry, he breathes very heavily, and thus Rudra is represented in the air of life or in the activities of breathing. When the sky is overcast with dense clouds and roars in anger, and when the wind blows very fiercely, the Rudra principle is manifested. And so also when the seawater is infuriated by the wind, it appears in a gloomy feature of Rudra, which is very fearful to the common man. When fire is ablaze, we can also experience the presence of Rudra. And when there is an inundation over the earth, we can understand that there is also the representation of Rudra. There are many earthly creatures who constantly represent the Rudra element. The snake, the tiger, and lion are always representations of Rudra. Sometimes, because of extreme heat of the sun, there are cases of heat stroke, and due to the extreme coldness created by the moon, there are cases of collapse. There are many sages empowered with the influence of austerity, and many yogis, philosophers, and renouncers who sometimes exhibit this acquired power under the influence of the Rudra principle of anger and passion. The great yogi Durvasa, under the influence of this Rudra principle, picked a quarrel with Maharaj Ambarish, and the Brahmana boy exhibited the Rudra principle by cursing great King Parikshit. When Rudra principle is exhibited by persons who are not engaged in the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the angry person falls down from the peak of his improved position. This is confirmed as follows. Yanye Arvindaksha Vimukta Maninas Tvayashthabhava Davishadha Buddhaya Arya Kruchena Parampadantada Patantyadana Drishyasmadangriya. Bhagavatam 10 to 32. The most lamentable fall down of the impersonalist is due to his false and unreasonable claim of being one with the Supreme. Hare Krishna. Very wonderful verse on anger. And this verse this verse analyzes the anger principle. By the way, how many of us regularly become angry? Really? Over a period of time, I was actually studying the all these doctors' analysis on anger. Finally developed a desire to write a book on anger actually. Because they say anger is a very normal emotion and it is very healthy emotion. It is not. And actually it is a destructive emotion. Of course, anger does have certain advantages, no doubt. It impels you to action, but most of the time, anger, especially when uncontrolled, anger generates wrong results, bad results. So Krishna is the origin of everything, right? Aham sarvasya prabhava mutta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvita. So Krishna is the origin of everything. So anger is manifested by first time Narsingadev, in the metal world. So Narsingadev exhibited this quality. So but what is the difference between, Hanumanji also exhibited his anger, but Hanuman was glorified. When Hanuman saw how Sita was suffering, Hanuman became angry and he burned the whole Lanka. But Hanuman is glorified. Then when we become angry, why nobody glorifies us? Huh? It is because in the case of Hanuman, his anger was fully controlled. He utilized anger to get the job done, but he was in full control. But when we become angry, anger controls us. And the anger is a destructive principle, Rudra principle. For that reason, Rupa Goswami says, as long as somebody harbors this anger in their heart, they cannot get the pure love of God. When somebody has this feeling of anger and somebody continuously exhibits this, I'm talking to myself because I'm a victim of anger. No pure devotional service. Whatever you practice, maybe chaya, shadow devotional service, or pratibimba, devotional service. Pratibimba means reflection, but it is not pure devotional service. So, today, whatever the book I am writing, I have taken certain points out of it to present. But before I speak on these points, let us come to the subject matter of Srimad Bhagavatam. Brahma, during the process of his creation, he created 4 Kumaras only to populate the universe. Actually, it's a very, he was doing this under the order of Krishna, trying to populate the universe. But what happened? 4 Kumaras, they told, Father, our hearts are given to Vasudeva Parayana. We want to lead, a life of asceticism. We want to lead a life of, a sage. We want to become sages. So we don't want to get married. But because Brahma was contemplating, okay, I'll give birth to my children. I create them. I have already created them. I'll create wonderful spouses for them. Then they will populate. My service to Krishna, definitely it will happen. Actually, if you can carefully analyze, what is the reason for anger? Lust. Unfulfilled desire. Dhyayato vishayan pumsaha sangasteshu pajayate sangat sanjayate kama kama krodo bijayate क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोहः सम्मोहा स्मृति विभ्रमः स्मृति भ्रंसा बुद्धिनाशो बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति. When we meditate on the sense objects, attachment develops. From that attachment, lust develops. Lust means a stronger attachment to get it. Actually, this one desire. But just by reading this one lecture, one sloka in the beginning, I developed a lot of faith in Gita. Wow, multi-trillion dollar advertising industry is dependent on this one verse. What a book this is. In America, I mean New York City, there are so many billboards. In a tiny billboard, you know how much it costs a month? $30,000. Just one billboard in one side of the road. Why? Every day you're driving in that direction going to office, you see the board. Buy Tesla, buy Tesla, buy Tesla. After reading this board, buy Tesla for 100 times, which car you will buy? That's it. Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsaha. Now you're so attached to buying Tesla. You developed a desire. Now there's desire. Now I request everyone to see carefully. I'm trying to take a thread out of it. Every day we get 50 to 60,000 thoughts. Bhagavad Gita doesn't explain that, science says that. Psychiatry says every day we get 50 to 60,000 thoughts. Every thought is like a thread. Can you see my hand? Every thought is like a thread. You can just snap it. Good thought or bad thought. But when you're seeing this advertisement, whatever you see, or when you're doing a window shopping, every thought, as I said, is like a simple thread. You can snap it, but as you keep on looking at it, you develop attachment. Mind goes through three stages: thinking, feeling, and willing. First, you start thinking, I want to have that car, I want to have that jewelry, I want to have that woman, I want to have that girl. The thinking will, when it goes to the next stage, you start feeling it. How does it look if I drive Tesla? How does it look if I associate with this girl or with this boy? You start feeling it. So you have gone to the next gear. You have shifted to the next gear. Then that you go to the next level, third level, willing. No matter what, I should have it. But you all should know by this time, when you've gone to the feeling a willing stage, this thread like thought, can everyone see the thread like thought? Can you see the thread? It has become an iron rod. You cannot bend it. You cannot even bend it. This becomes an iron rod. You'll go and tell your family, I want that car. I want to marry that girl. I want this. But they do not know you. This has become an iron rod. This is true with every bad habit. Whether it is gambling, whether it is illicit sex, whether it's meat eating, intoxication, or criticizing other devotees, anything. This thinking, feeling, and willing, sometimes it happens in 5 minutes. Sometimes it takes a month. Sometimes it takes a year. But you cannot come back. Unfulfilled desire, to the extent you're attached, when the family says no to you, or your brother's father, anybody says no to you, you'll become angry, you'll explode. When you become angry, you do what you are not supposed to do. We speak what we are not supposed to speak. And we regret. Anyone has experience? Wow. You know? So, unfulfilled desire. Base first reason is, now from my book, desire to enjoy. Desire to enjoy. Controlling mentality. This whole world is created for my happiness. Whole world is created for my happiness. I am the supreme enjoyer. I am the enjoyer. The moment somebody comes to The moment somebody becomes an obstruction of your enjoyment, you'll become angry. There is a wonderful story in the scriptures. I want everyone to hear. Two brothers, Sunda and Upasunda, they went to, they prayed to Brahma for a very long time. Brahma came. They are the followers of Hiranyakasipu. They said we should not die. Brahma said, it's not possible. Everyone has to die. Then I said, all right, you give us this boon. What? We should have our death in each other's hands. Means my death should be in the hand of my brother. My brother's death should be in my hand. Sundar said. Brahma said, granted. Already they are brothers. They are good friends. On the top of it, now they know their death is in their hands, each other's hands. Naturally, they'll become the best friends, right? There is no death, right? They will never die, right? How many of you are thinking like that? Power of lust. Brahma said, granted. Chalo. They shook their hands. Brother, we have conquered death. Why? We are the best of friends. On the top of it, we are brothers. On the top of it, our death is in each other's hands. There is no death at all. Every day we should remember this and we can live eternally. They declared war on Indra, defeated Indra. Practically, they were gaining control on all the planet systems. Devatas went to Brahma and said, my lord, what you've done is wrong. These guys, we can never kill them because they're best friends. You know? Brahma laughed and said, don't worry, they will die. He created a celestial damsel by the name Tilottama and told her, take care of them. So according to the plan, she met the elder one, Sunda. He was immediately, but just by seeing her, he was infatuated. He said, I want to marry you. She said, definitely yes. And she met the second one. He was also infatuated. So he said, I want to marry you. She said, yes, definitely. So one day, the next day, the both brothers met on the dining table. First one said, I want to get married. Congratulations, brother. I also want to get married. So will you introduce your, girlfriend? Definitely. Will you introduce yours? Of course. So Sunda brought Tilottama and said, this is your sister-in-law. Introduced. Upasunda said, wait. There's a problem here. This is not my sister-in-law, but this is your sister-in-law. And this is my, would-be wife. Said, no. She gave me the word first time. No. She gave me the word first time. Lust. And she was maybe sitting and eating ice cream, watching the whole show. They picked up their clubs, then start fighting, and they killed each other. So, what is that? What is that? The enjoying mentality. Our desire to enjoy, when the desires are not fulfilled, unfulfilled desires trigger anger. The second one is envy. Envy is another reason why we become angry. In Bible, there is a story. Abel and Cain. They're brothers. Abel became a shepherd and Cain became a farmer. And one day they made offering to God. God accepted Abel's offering, you know, and neglected Cain's offering. Cain became envious. How can you do this? He immediately killed his brother out of envy. You know, envy is one quality one has to get rid of. Anger is, what is it? Lust is passion. Anger is tamoguna, ignorance. A devotees have to consciously work on this quality of overcoming these qualities. Tadha rajastamo bhava kamalobhadayasche chayatayetiravidam sthitam satya prasiddhati. Nashtapraya Shabadarisha Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. If you come to Bhagavatam classes, if you practice Bhakti Yoga, then slowly we'll become free from the lower modes. What are the lower modes? Passion and ignorance. As long as we have this passion and ignorance, we develop desire after desire and we try to fulfill them. When we cannot, then we become angry. You know? And what is that? Egoism. Somebody is very egoistic. Calm, what is that? Prakrite krimanani gunai karmani. Ahankara vimudatma kartaha iti manyate. I am the doer. You know, things went very well. I am the reason. Today temperature is 75 degrees. I am the reason. You know, what is that? We have opened a center. I am the reason. We have a Bhakti program. I am the reason. All right, continue. Not for a long time. So, what is the conditioned soul qualification? Ego, ahankar, false ego. That's why we need to develop humility. This one quality I could never develop. I have been trying, but I failed. But if you develop, you'll go back to Godhead. Third verse I could never apply in my verse, in my life. Third verse of Sikshastakam. What is third verse of Sikshastakam? Everyone louder. How wonderfully we recited. We are reciting every day, but how many of us can apply? Many times I thought, fourth verse, na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim. No, I don't want money. I don't want followers. I don't want the attractions of opposite sex. Why Lord Chaitanya gave that as a fourth verse? Why he did not give third as fourth, fourth as third? Many times I thought. Then I felt without third verse, without humility and tolerance, we cannot really practice nadanam, najanam, nasundarim. We cannot give up the association of, we cannot give up this money, attractions for money, opposite sex, and followers. So it's a prerequisite, this verse. Humility is a prerequisite to giving up the attractions for those three things: followers, opposite sex, and money. So first four are Sikshastakam, first four are preliminary verses. Yoga Ruksha. The last four, Yoga Rudha, very advanced stage. The true happiness, Sunyayatam Jagat Sarvam, Govinda Varihaname. Intense. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to this world. to teach raga bhakti, you know. So to teach raganuga, the raga sadhana, raganuga bhakti. So, but for to go to that level, we need to give up these lower modes, this lower nature. Recently, this devotee came to our temple in Michigan. He said, Anardhanivritti to prema, Shraddha to prema, Anardhanivritti is the longest phase. But we should not focus on Anardhanivritti all the time. I have so many impurities. I have lust, I have anger, I have greed, pride. If you keep on thinking, that is wrong, he said. Ours is Ardha Pravritti. Let the impurities be there, but try to relish. mm, Try to relish Krishna consciousness, not just prasadam alone. You know, prasadam we relish from day one, no doubt. But along with prasadam, we should relish kirtan, we should relish reading Shrimad Bhagavatam, and we should relish Krishna Leela. Very important. So when you start relishing Krishna Leela, that is Ardha Pravritti. Nama Rupa Guna Leela. Aindra Prabhu speaks on this. Aindra Prabhu speaks on this quality. He was mentioning it. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, 1930, he was in Radhakund. And everyone thought, wow, he'll come and speak on this, Radha Krishna Leela. Saraswati Thakur started speaking about, you know, what is that? The first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. He started talking about the philosophy. You are not his body, you are a spirit soul. Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead. He spoke for 7 8 days. And all these, whoever was there, who were present, people who were not qualified, they left. Oh, no, he's speaking the basic philosophy. Then, eighth day, he said, you know, no, um, we need to relish Ardha Pravritti. But for that we need to give up the lower nature. Krishna consciousness is not cheap. Krishna consciousness is not cheap. So if we are always on Rajagun and Tamogun, I'm talking to myself, then when will we come to Sattva, mode of goodness? You know, that's why sadhana is very important. You know, Mangalarti should not miss. Chanting the rounds should not miss. One day I was speaking to one devotee. He is a doctor, supports our temple, Brooklyn Temple. I asked him, how many rounds you chant? 64. Who? You're a doctor? Chanting 64 rounds? His wife is also doctor. We don't, we do full time, we don't get time. What inspires you to chant 64 rounds every day? How do you take time out of it? He said, this is the thing that is going to come with me. And nothing is going to come with me. Naturally, I invest on this because I came to Bhakti long ago. That's great. I mean, I'm not telling whoever is listening this class, I'm not telling you to follow this, but I'm telling somebody is inspired. Wow, that is great. So, what is that? Sadhana is very important. Along with sadhana, cultivation of qualities is also very important. There is a devotee by name J. Murari Prabhu in Vrindavan. You know, he would chant his rounds, 16 rounds, 2 hours. He would also chant Sikshashtakam for 2 hours to develop that quality. Wow. So, what is that? Um, if our focus is sadhana, if our focus is actually, what is that? Relishing Nama Rupa Guna Leela. So Indra Prabhu says, instead of Mamekam, he says Namekam. Wow. First develop taste for the holy name. You know, Sarvadharman Parityajya Mam Ekam Sharanam Raja. He says, Sarvadharman Parityajya Namekam Sharanam Raja. Wow. What a taste he developed. So name will take you to the form, Rupa. Form will take you to qualities, Guna. That will take you to Leela. Amazing. So, along with practicing anartha nivritti, cleansing the heart, all the impurities of the heart, should also practice ardha pravritti, simultaneously developing attachment for for um, for the name of Krishna, for the form of Krishna, for the qualities of Krishna, and of course the pastimes of Krishna. Actually, I was reading Lord Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Bhagavata. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu returned from Gaya, totally a changed man. Those what is that? Those qualities that he exhibited as a very qualified Nimai Pandit, challenging others, they were not present. Only one thing: where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? Intense. All night crying only. Wow, I was thinking, whole night crying, non-stop crying. Where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? Devotees couldn't believe. He told everyone, please, you all come to the home of Suklamra Brahmachari. I want to share something from my heart. Everybody went. Sriman Pandit Sadasiva, Gadar Pandit also went earlier and hid in one corner. So I went to Gaya while coming. On the way, I saw Krishna, but suddenly disappeared. I'm so fallen, I wasted my life. I couldn't see him. Where is Krishna? And he started crying. Suddenly somebody fell down. That's Gadadhar Pandit. He fainted. They were so much affected by his crying. Tears were, there's like a flood of tears coming from his eyes. They were totally affected by his demeanor. And he said, who is that? Gadadhar. He said, Gadadhar, how fortunate you are. From childhood, you have no taste for anything. You don't have any taste for anything, but only Krishna. Wow. I have wasted my life, in all these useless pursuits. Again, he started crying. Wow. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give that to experience and give love of God to each and every one of us. Time is running out. So he wants us to get rid of our impurities, get rid of our lower nature, and progress to our original nature, original constitutional position. But what is the biggest obstacle? Ego. Bhurjana Prabhu writes in this book, he wrote a book on chanting. Actually, always we say it's mind, no focus, no focus. Mind goes away here and there. He says it's not mind, it's ego. So mind is only external reason, but the internal reason is ego. I'm not interested, So this ego is the biggest obstacle. Prabhupada is writing here, you know, what is that? A person who has this anger is because of ego. Ye anye arvindaksh vimukta manina tvayashtu bhava devishuddha buddhaya arya kruchena parampadam tada patanti yado na drashtu yasmadangriya. Even if by the dint of your austerity, even if you are liberated, you have cleansed your heart, but because you have not developed any love for that lotus feet of Krishna, Patandhyadhana drashta, you'll still fall down even after having attained that state of liberation. So what is the medicine for ego? Humility, servant of servant. I mean, I cannot apply, but if you apply, you'll go forward. It's important. Bhakti, what matters is not number of years, the quality. You know. So Prabhupada writes here, you know, until we get rid of this enemy, ahankar, false ego, the Rudra principle is always with us, giving us trouble. Last time I was giving class, I said, what is material world? Material world means we are attached to enjoying matter. Tiny happiness, I said this last time, this much happiness, this much suffering. This much happiness, this much suffering. What is the beauty? We are attached to that much happiness, willing to go through this much suffering. Wow. Who has created this? Brahma. Brahma created this whole machinery. But to make an exit, sadhana. To come out of this, what is that? This prison created by Brahma. If we hold on to the lotus feet of Krishna, you know, and continuously perform sadhana, then there is a possibility to make an exit. Otherwise, continue. Swayambhu Manu lived for how long? 4,320,000 years into 71. That much long Swayambhu Manu lived. But without any familiarity, Swayambhu Manu executed bhakti for that much long time. For that reason, on the last day, he went back to Godhead. So whatever time we have, we should utilize in Krishna's service, not in Maya service. You know. So on one hand, we should try to focus on getting rid of the impurities. On another hand, we should try to develop the taste for the Nama Rupa Guna Leela. So 10 more minutes. Actually, just now, Ram Rai Prabhu announced today is the Ramananda Rai's disappearance day. And you said Chaitanya Charitamrita, he completed. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. So, I really do not know when I came to the class. But Ramananda Rai is actually, Vishaka Saki. And Ramananda Rai also, Arjun, and what a personality Ramananda Rai is. One day Pradyumna Mishra went to Lord Chaitanya and said, my Lord, I want to hear Krishna Lila from you. Lord Chaitanya said, I'm not qualified, but you can hear Krishna Lila from Ramananda Rai. All right. So Pradyumna Mishra went to hear. He went to the home of Ramananda Rai. So the servant came and said, Ramananda Rai is very busy. Busy what? So why Ramananda Rai is very busy? Ramananda Rai, when he went, he was preparing Devadas Dasis to perform this drama, this play. He was personally actually preparing them, decorating them. And what was his sense control? Wow. So it is said when Ramandra was decorating this Devadasis, he was so sense control. If you put, you know, if you take a knife and try to cut his heart, the heart is like a rock, so focused on his service. Lord Chaitanya says, only Ramanandra can do. I cannot do that. Wow. What a sense control Ramanandra had. When Pradyumna Mishra understood, he heard Krishna Lila from Ramanandra actually. You know. So Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he says, actually, as the Chaitanya Charitamrita comes to an end, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, his humility, you know, uh, there is no, we see no bounds to that humility actually. Nobody should see me. If you see my face, you'll get all the sins. Vaigunya Kita Kalitam Paisanya Vranapeditam Dainyarnave Nimagnoham Sri Chaitanya Vaidyamasriye. My body is filled with germs of material activity. For that reason, my body is filled with boils of envy. For that reason, I am drowned in the ocean of sorrow. For that reason, I have taken shelter of this big doctor, great doctor, Lord Chaitanya. Sri Chaitanya Vaidyamasraya. My body is filled with the boils of envy. In other words, he's telling I'm a materialist and I have so much envy in my heart. And for that reason, I'm suffering like anything and there is so much sorrow in my heart. For that reason, I have taken shelter of Lord Chaitanya, this doctor. He doesn't say, I have written Chaitanya Charitamrita, amazing, you all come and take shelter. I'm a worm in the stool. I mean, honestly speaking, Chaitanya Charitamrita is filled with amazingly wonderful, you know, um, topics, great things. But this really touched me when I read Chaitanya Charitamrita. I'm a worm in the stool. What is this humility? Nobody should see my face. If you see my face, you'll get all the sins. But the book I have written, Chaitanya Charitamrita, please read. You'll attain the perfection. So, in other words, what he's trying to do is he's trying to distance himself from the glory that he's going to get. Next 10,000 years, Chaitanya Charitamrita will be very famous. It's global, universal. But he doesn't want to get any name out of it. Doesn't want to get any fame out of it. But what he wants? But he wanted everyone to read Chaitanya Charitamrita, get the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, and go back to Godhead. But he doesn't want to claim, he doesn't want to claim in a tiny bit of it. He doesn't want to become proud. He doesn't want to get any name out of it. Why? I'm very old man. I cannot see. Actually, he had arthritis also. I can't see, but my pen is moving. My pen is moving. Who is writing? The person who wanted this to be written, he is writing. I am not the one. One day, same mood was exhibited by Srila Prabhupada. One day, Bhakti Tirtha Swami was in Toronto. And he was curious he was the servant that day for Prabhupada. He was curious what Prabhupada was doing. And he saw Prabhupada studying his books. Very interesting. Author reading his own books. Prabhupada said, no, I have not written. Krishna made me write. So, so it's Krishna. Krishna wrote. So that's why, I'm curious what is written there. That's why I'm reading. So Manasiksha, I encourage everyone to read this book. One book, Manasiksha. Bhakti Devi enters into the heart at 8th verse. 9th verse onwards, the glorification of Radharani. One day, somebody told me this, I really don't know. I hope it is right. Anyway, Radha Govind Maharaj was giving a lecture in Texas. When one lady got up and said, I have been chanting for past 25 years, but nothing is happening. When I heard this, I told myself, I should not say I've chanted for 20 years, 25 years, and nothing happened. Then why nothing happens? Something should happen. If nothing is happening, what is the reason? Only one reason. It is our problem. 80-90 expressway, so many cars break down. That is not the problem of expressway. If your car is very good, you will come to New York. So when I read it, then I realized after this many years, I'm stuck at the fourth verse. Bhakti Devi enters at the eighth verse. So now I understood what is the problem. It is my problem. It is not the problem of the process. Holy name works. You know, so many devotees in ISKCON, few days before leaving the body, they revealed their spiritual form and they went back to Godhead. Process works. Anyway, these are a few thoughts I want to share. Please do excuse me if I have spoken anything wrong as your humble servant. Grateful for your patient audience. Any question or comment, otherwise we'll end it.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. I wanted to ask, in the beginning you were speaking about this principle, Gyat or Visham Pumsam, and how the anger is coming from this. But before the anger, the desire is appearing. So you are saying by contemplating on the sense objects, it's a question of time, like you said, one day or 1 week or 1 month or 1 year, but this desire will come. So my question is, if we are every day contemplating on objects like deities, the holy name, Srimad Bhagavatam, why it takes longer than 1 year for us to develop the desire?
Very nice.
What's the problem?
Our contemplation is not strong. You know, I'm talking about myself, you know. So that's why I said we should not just focus on Anardhana Vritti. You know, you should not focus on chanting. Actually, Sachinanda Maharaj says, if your chanting is about cleansing the heart, that type of chanting is a mode of goodness. You should have a desire to do service for Krishna. You know, Lalasamai Prarthana by Narottam Das Thakur. You know, I want to do this. I want to offer this, even though not qualified. You know, but everything starts with a desire, sankalpa. When you develop a desire, eventually it will happen. You know, so all the time, if you are on sensual level, you have, you know, that words, right? What is that? Indriyani paranya or indriya pramana manasastapara buddhi buddhi paratasya. So sensual level, mental level, intellectual level, ego level, soul level. But always, you know, we long for, I want this, sensual level, you know, or Annamaya stage. You know, spiritual level is Anandamaya, but we are always Annamaya only, or Pranamaya only. Annamaya stage, we find happiness in food. Pranamaya stage, we find happiness in, you know, little job. Manomaya stage, we find happiness in some relationship. Vijnanamaya stage, we understand. You know, we are not the body, but still we are not there yet. But Anandamaya, eventually will progress there. So then we are coming back to the point, you know, the conditioning is very deep. You know, when the conditioning is on sensual level, you know, but Krishna is very merciful. He has come in a very tangible form. If we persist, you know, if we continue to do what we are doing, it works. You know, so we are continuing the process of chanting. We are staying, we are doing full time. Year after year, month after month, day after day. Is a standing testimony that the process works. You know, So you're doing this day after day, month after month, year after year. You know, it means the process is working. There is something in you that is telling you to continue. What is that? Your attachment for the holy name, little bit. Attachment for the prasad, attachment for the deities, attachment for the process. Not that it is zero. May not be what to the extent you wanted, but something has come. In fact, that is grace actually. You know, grace means something is pushing us to go forward on this despite so many problems, despite the tough mind, despite the environment. So we are going forward means that is the real grace. So stay in the process, eventually it will happen fully. Thank you. Hope it answered your question. Hare Krishna. Any other question or comment? Maharaj, you want to add anything? Maharaj, you want to add anything? So if nothing, yes, please.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, I wanted to know how to cultivate humility that we can actually put ourselves in an inferior position to others. How to understand that others know better than me.
Give the mic to Maharaj and I cannot answer.
Your question was how to get in the attitude of humility toward others or subordination. Um, well, I think generally to develop humility, you have to struggle to try to understand the good qualities of others. There's a verse where actually Ram Roy read it the other day, verse where Prahlad Maharaj is talking about, let all envious people be pacified. But somewhere in that same thing, in the purport, or Prahlad says it, I'm not sure which, it says that generally when we meet people who are, greater than us, we should be grateful and look up to them. When we meet people are equal, we should be happy. And when we meet people who are lesser than us, we should be wanting to help them in some kind of way. But what actually happens is when we meet people greater, we want to pull ourselves up. When we meet people who are equal to us, we want to pull them down. And when we meet people less than ourselves, we want to ignore them, and which is what actually happens. So I think trying to cultivate a recognition of what people are doing, and trying to turn off that part of our mind, the false ego, which always says that we are better, we need to be greater, at least in our own thinking, which is actually the voice of the false ego. We are always hearing the voice of the false ego. At least I am. At least at this point, after so much devotional service, I don't listen to that voice so much, but it's still there. So the voice of the false ego means that we're always wanting love of puja and pratishtha, profit, adoration, distinction. So we always want to be glorified above others. We want to be somehow placed above others. And this is something that is happening 24/7. And if we can hear the japa nicely, then of course our false ego will be reduced. And if we genuinely try to make an effort to appreciate the good qualities of others, then I think we will come to to appreciate them more, and that will help. That's what I would say about them. That
I just want to add only 2 lines. Why I asked Maharaj to speak is Festival of Inspiration. Before Mangalarti, probably 200 people would enter into the temple hall. Chandrasekhar Maharaj would sit there chanting. He would offer obeisance to everyone. He would touch the ground 200 times, 300 times. I said, wow. One day I told one devotee, so you have developed a nice relationship with Chandrasekhar Maharaj. He said, that is not my greatness. Maharaj makes anybody comfortable. He puts you, he makes you big. That is his quality. So, that is the one reason actually I asked Maharaj to speak. Because I may speak something in theory, but I saw this year after year after year. You do that. His Holiness Chandrasekhar Swami Maharaj ki. Thank you very much. We'll end the class. If I've spoken anything wrong, excuse me for, if you, anything, please do excuse me as your servant. Grateful for your audience. Hare Krishna.